Hey, and welcome to Highbrow, Lowbrow. I'm your host, Shaun. With me here is Ron Sensei. Each week we get together to discuss a well-received, highly regarded film against a cheesy blockbuster.
Basically an artsy-fartsy film versus mindless good time. And this week, it's Shaun's turn. He picked a very interesting genre. I didn't expect this.
Yes, this week I picked westerns. I wanted to see a highbrow western film. I also wanted to see a lowbrow western film. And I also just enjoy westerns, so I thought it would be a pretty good option to go with.
So, very interesting, right? Like, what's a highbrow film that Shaun's going to pick based on his past picks? So, what did you pick this time, Shaun?
I ended up picking Meeks Cutoff. Ron, cheers.
Cheers.
Directed by Kelly Reichardt, set in the 1940s, Meeks Cutoff is about 6 settlers and their guide who are caught in a dangerous situation. They are lost, food and water are running out, and the surrounding desert threatens to claim them all. Meanwhile, their guide, Stephen Meek, refuses to acknowledge that they may be several weeks off course. When a Native American is captured, Emily Tetherow, one of the settlers, shields him from Meek's wrath, and he offers to lead the group to water in return. So, Ron, what did you think of this highbrow pick? I'm curious.
You know, I don't know, like something about these highbrow picks of yours. I appreciate the fact that you go blind, and it's really a hit or miss, because this is one of those films. I really thought it was an old film, because first of all, the aspect ratio is kind of like the old version. Like, it's not the wide, it's kind of like the VHS tapes.
4:3.
4:3. But man, fucking nothing happens. Nothing happens. For all of you wannabe artsy-fartsy filmmakers out there, just holding on to a shot without nothing happening is not artsy-fartsy. It's fucking bullshit. Like, this film, and that synopsis, by the way, is incorrect. The Native American did not offer to lead them to water. He was kind of forced into it, and we couldn't even understand what the fuck he's talking about. Obviously, because there are no subtitles. Nothing really happened. A lot of setups. So, you're thinking, oh, maybe Meeks is gonna rape Emily, but not really. Meeks was getting close to the boy, one of the sons, and nothing really happened. Paul Dano and his wife was kind of siding with Meeks, but that conflict never really pays off. The most climactic part was the caravans actually going down the hill, and one of them just crashes to bits, and the fucking thing just ended. Like, okay, I was like, what the fuck? It's finished? I don't know. I didn't enjoy this. I think it was just a waste of time, man. You could have gotten Corona, and that would have been more entertaining. Holy shit.
I disagree pretty heavily with Ron on this one. I would say
a western. This is not
it's so set in the West. It is pure West. But I think it's the opposite of what we tend to think of when we think of Western, because it fully embraces a very just like a normal person like experience, or like, it doesn't shine up anything. It's like, he's right, there is no rape or no major gunfight. One gunshot is fired, or maybe like 3, but one actual gun was aimed at a person in this film. And it's such a super toned down film. The main trials of this film was just them going through this deserty area with little to no help. And the film really does create a sense of them being on their own in this vast, endless land where they might be screwed, because they don't have water, they don't have any ways to survive. I do agree with Ron. It is very, very slow, and it takes a while to really get into. But I think what makes the film sort of stand out for me is the whole level of being stuck up the river without a paddle. You have 2 choices in this film. You have Meeks, who is who's like this rugged, confident, overly confident fellow who doesn't know what the fuck's going on, and you have this unknown like super variable Indian or Native American who's like he might be able to give them water, he might not be able to give them water. That central conundrum is really sort of what sold the movie to me. Is like, do you trust in this unknown thing and try to give it like care and comfort in hopes that it will take care of you later on, and they ultimately you'll see what happens in it. But
you never saw what happened.
But I think that
nothing happened.
No. But I think that's whether or not anything happens. I think the decision to choose to go with the unknown or the trust in this person that's familiar with the land, but you can't understand, to trust in the unknown or trust in somebody who like putting their faith in this Native American is really interesting and really thought-provoking to me.
But didn't they say in the end, they're like, yeah, we don't have a choice anymore. We're just gonna follow this guy because we don't have a choice. We're lost.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the choice. There was conflict, but that conflict was not even properly set up. You're like thinking, they're all like, oh shit, is he setting us up with some bandits? He's calling his friend, he's putting signs and stuff, so they're gonna ambush us at night. So the film sets these things up. A lot of setups were not paid off, and it's just lousy. To me, it's such a lousy ass filmmaking. Just the writing.
They set it up. They set up the whole idea of him betraying them, and they never. I think that's sort of bold that they never confirm or deny that the Native American is going to betray them. Like they never go, oh, he's going to save us. They never have him give any sense like, oh, I'm going to help you. And so the idea of just putting your hopes and whatever you got left in this like severely chaotic element, I thought was really interesting. I was like, and then just sort of giving their fate to the winds, more or less.
What were the choices made in this film? Why was it done in such a way that it's supposed to be some sort of symbolism and it's like minimalistic or whatever? Like that shit's only where the government is like censoring your ass. Like I understand Stalker, I understand a lot of the old films in the Soviet Union. I get that because they're all kind of like trying to code it. Even in the Hays Code, right, in the 50s, you have to code certain things. That's why you can't say certain things. But nowadays that I found out that this is actually a modern day movie, there's no excuse for it's literally, for me, it's a flat line. It's dead. It's such a dead movie. I've seen much better. And for a Western, oh my goodness. Is this a Western?
This movie, ultimately, I feel like this movie is heavily underplayed. Like everything feels very underplayed, and it's a very matter-of-fact, toned-down film. And while that isn't like super, super exciting and enjoyable, I do feel like I did connect with the message of this film, this sort of sense of like putting your faith into the unknown or into like this shared sense of humanity, but not really being sure if you can trust it. So I did enjoy it for that, but I did also find it a little bit, it did drag a little bit. I also felt like there was some decent character interactions between the different station or party wagon members, and I thought that everyone did a pretty good job in terms of acting. But yeah, overall, I thought it tended to be a little bit dry, but I also thought its messaging and execution were fairly strong for what it was trying to do.
In contrast to this, I was not gonna go with this pick, but after we saw it, I was like, we need something to happen here, man. Something needs to happen. So my pick for the Lowbrow is Last Man Standing. Based on Kurosawa's Yojimbo, Last Man Standing stars Bruce Willis, Christopher Walken, and a whole bunch of people that you will see in Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire, and some gangster films. Anyway, Shaun, what do you think of Last Man Standing?
I mean, if you pick The Last Man Standing in comparison to like Meeks Cutoff, I mean, I guess they are pretty diametrically opposed films.
That was the idea.
So the thing with Last Man Standing is it is really heavy on the action, and it is heavy on style. It's a very stylistic film, but it's such a weird mismatch of things because it has this Western feel, but it like has a gangster movie feel too. So like there's two gangs and they're competing against each other, but then it's sort of like this really weird environment where it's like the Irish gang versus the Italian gang, but they're in a Western setting, which sort of doesn't square a little bit. Bruce Willis comes in as the man in black, the drifter who comes in and shoots everyone up and stuff. He's his Bruce Willis self. And I do feel like, he's doing the thing, but he's also sort of just playing his stereotypical action hero character type of thing. And I don't feel like he's anywhere near the level of other action films he's in, like Die Hards or Lucky Number 11. I thought he was a lot of fun in that movie too. I would say this film feels like a lot of action and fun, but it feels super flimsy in terms of like the motivations. It's very, I don't know how else to say, very lowbrow because it just has like cheesy line after cheesy line. The characters are like crazy and just very straightforward caricatures of certain roles. I thought it was fun, but then I was also like, this is pretty non-substantive.
Well, yes, Shaun is right. It's super heavy on the action, but it does follow all the beats of Yojimbo. I mean, that's actually very surprising in what happens in this film is that all the characters in Yojimbo are here, even with the wife who's looking for her family. Here the husband's kind of like cut off because the husband was like an asshole. But I'm glad that they didn't take it a step forward where suddenly there's going to be a love story that's going to happen with the woman and Bruce Willis. No, it happened the same way as in Yojimbo. The samurai helps staged a massacre and killed everybody by himself. And he made it look like, 20 guys came in, but it was just him. And because of that, he got in trouble. He got beat up. And a great addition to this, however, is Christopher Walken's characters, to me. Hickey. I mean, now Christopher Walken's kind of like this, iconic kind of gangster person, right? But during this time, it's like, 1994 or something?
Yeah, 95, 96, I think.
Yeah. So it's just still kind of going on. You're still kind of like witnessing how fucking weird and how eccentric Christopher Walken is.
I get that that's the purpose of this film, and it's enjoyable for that, but then it does feel like really, really flimsy in terms of I don't need movies to necessarily be message heavy, but it has like barely any message at all. Zero, zilch, nada. I mean, I think even in other sort of campy movies, I think there is some some sort of message or some sort of like general idea that's propagated throughout the film, but this one felt pretty devoid of messaging, and I think it was sort of unclear because the hero's motivations felt like they weren't consistent. But in terms of action and in terms of like just chaos, I think it succeeds at that.
But the message is the drifter guy. It's kind of like in Yojimbo, right? Like at the end of it, he got beat up. He was trying to make money off of the two gangs, and then he leaves, and he's still broke, right? So he takes,
But then as a character motivation, he's trying to make money, but he gives all his money away. He doesn't even try to fight for any money. And then he's like supposed to save some person, and then he doesn't really save that person. He doesn't care.
But it's the same thing with Yojimbo, right? Like he takes a stick, he throws it, and then he just goes. It's about the wanderer kind of way of living life. And
I have to watch Yojimbo again to like give my own assessment of Yojimbo. But as this film stands, I felt like there was little like narrative focus where the character, would shift into one position or another position, because he never really fell in love with anybody, and maybe has like a soft spot for women or something. But I don't feel like that was like explored in any
this is a
significant way.
Yeah, this is a type of character. You know how certain characters have arcs where in the beginning they're like this and in the end they're like this. This is a character that does not change. Kind of like that samurai Ronin character where they're already realized, but you as the audience have not realized that. So towards the end, they still stay the same, but you as the audience realize that, okay, well, this guy's in a repeating loop of like just wandering, and he's a skilled fighter, but he's made up his mind, and it's not going to change because towards the end, he says his thesis in the beginning, and then he proves it still in the end. He's like, okay, well, it's the same thing.
So that's what we thought of Last Man Standing. Here, next up is the verdict.
All right, Shaun, what is your pick?
All right, I don't have a high recommend for either film. I am gonna go with Meeks Cutoff, just because there's like so little anything to like to Last Man Standing. I mean, I get that it's a variation on Yojimbo, but I don't know. It's been a while since I watched Yojimbo. Maybe I'm watching it with more kind eyes, or remembering it with more kind eyes, because it is a classic film. But I don't know, whatever motivations or character motivations that happen in Yojimbo, I don't feel like translated here. I think Meeks Cutoff can be a pretty slow film and can be a pretty frustrating film to watch because it doesn't seem like a lot is happening throughout. But I was left thinking about the film and pondering, what you would do in that situation, and the idea of acquiescing or just giving up to nature, or recognizing another person's humanity. Just that whole central question of, do you trust this person that you can't understand based off the idea of your shared humanity? So I really did enjoy that concept, and I enjoyed how it was executed. For a decent part, like I think it was shot pretty well. It is very methodical and very very dry in how it's depicted, to really convey how difficult it was to cross those plains. So I think Meeks Cutoff played to the idea of being desolate and being stuck in this area, and being without options, and sort of having to put your faith into things you wouldn't normally put your faith into. Last Man Standing, I don't know, it's sort of tough because I do get the fact that it's a very sort of fun, lowbrow action film with little with little substance, and so I could see a lot of people enjoying lowbrow, mind-numbing films, but I don't know, I connected more with Meeks Cutoff, just because there's so little to connect in Last Man Standing.
Yeah. Okay, I guess what really infuriates me with Meeks Cutoff is the misuse of a lot of things. First of all, the aspect ratio doesn't make sense. Why the fuck would you choose that? It's a 2010 movie. The misuse of the cast. I mean, fucking Paul Dano was in There Will Be Blood. He was awesome in that. I looked up his name, Will Patton. He was in Armageddon. He made me cry with that little scene with the boy in the truck. Michelle Williams is really the only one that really did anything in this film. But even then, it's like it didn't really go anywhere. So as a Western film, it didn't really do anything for me. It's a flat line. It's dead. What a shame. Anyway, Last Man Standing to me is just a super fun film. It's the lowbrow Yojimbo, but it did all the beats were there. It features a cast of just everyone. You've seen them in Sopranos. They're all there. So it's a fun movie to see in the 90s, and then later on, similar faces. You see them later, and it's just a fun movie for me. Compared to Meeks Cutoff, the fucking title doesn't even make sense. Last Man Standing to me is much more enjoyable. Maybe it doesn't mean anything, but at least something happens.
Okay, so that's what we thought of Meeks Cutoff and Last Man Standing. Be sure to check in next time with us when you try to find out who was right.
Shaun or Roun? See you guys.